Right on. Manipulant with Electro Cigarette and Secondhand Smoke Mix. And man, that was a really cool tune, and it just very, very catchy. And I love the lyrics, and I'm kind of curious as to kind of what made you think to make a song like this specifically.
Lyrically?
Lyrically, yes.
Yeah, well, it actually happened.
Yeah.
I was in the city, and this tweaked out guy came up to me, and he had an electric cigarette, and he's like, "Hey man, here, take this. Jesus gave it to me," and I was like, "No," I was like, "No thanks, dude." But I went home, and I wrote about 10 or 12 verses, and then it ended up being just the 2 or 3 lines that I used in the song, but
right.
It definitely inspired me.
You know what? It's funny you mention that because there's this one girl, and by looks, I'm going to assume she's like early 20s, like 21, 22 sort of thing. Anyways, so I saw her months ago at a grocery store parking lot, begging for change, that sort of thing. It's like, okay, whatever, like, no, I'm good, thanks, sort of thing. But the past, like, 2-3 months, when I've gone to the liquor store, guess who's been sitting about 5 feet away from there, and her hair is dyed. It's like, okay, so you're using my dye your hair, but you're not bothered eating, so no, I'm glad I didn't give you any money. A little
for you an electric cigarette.
Well, a little sidetrack, but it's one of those things, right? So it's a huge debate, but we're not going to get into that. Either way, man, it's a great tune. So Mike, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a really cool tune, and funnily enough, it was only the week before this week just gone, because obviously you were going to come on last week. It was only then I realised you had a first EP. It didn't occur to me.
He's a little slow.
Yeah. But yeah, and listen to it, and actually both of the mixes of Electric Cigarette I just thought were really, really cool. So that was it was interesting to go back into people's back catalogues and kind of hear where you've been and where you're going. But no, it's a great tune. I like the sort of I was going to say bass line, but it is a bass line, but you know what I mean. It's not bass guitar line, but the kind of. It reminds me of Blue Monday when you order. It's got that kind of thing going on, which is
cool.
Cool.
Right on.
Yeah, thanks for putting in all the work when you were researching the show last week.
Oh man,
I do my best. I'm a bit last minute. I do try and research the people that we're talking to. Otherwise, I find it's just embarrassing.
Oh yeah, exactly right. So.
Otherwise I ask them a question to go, have you actually listened to anything I've ever done? So I do try.
So my next question to you would be, what do you think is the difference between the last album and this album? Like, what was it the a significant change of it?
Well, you're talking about the Méthode de Narration and Eclectro, correct?
Yes.
The difference between those two?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, with the first one, it was kind of just me seeing what I could do with the keyboard and my computer. And I came up with a few catchy songs, and I found some interesting techniques on Reason, but it was more of an experiment.
Right.
And when I got into Eclectro, it was it turned into almost a concept. So I was able to apply what I'd learned in the first one, plus it had a theme. It wasn't just a bunch of notes thrown onto a CD. So, I think I grew quite a bit between the first and the second.
Right on. So we're going to get to our next song up of the night, and this is off the previous album. This one's called Second Time Through. This is Manipulant. Dig this.
Well, it comes as no surprise to me.
Right on. Manipulant with a second time through and a lot more two times through. Sorry, a lot, a lot more progressive than the last tune, and just a lot more beats and rhythm to it. I would say, but I really liked it, and it's such a kind of cool change in progression from this album to the next one, and I just really dug it. I just love what you've done with it, Mike.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that tune. It's interesting. One of my questions to you was going to be, is this something that you've like the other stuff, is it solo or is it with a band? Because it sounds really kind of real, and you were saying off air that it's with a band, but you don't do that anymore.
Right. Yeah,
in a very eloquent way.
The exchange was, I don't really like people, so it's very difficult to keep. Sorry. It's very difficult to keep. And Mike, you know, you have different personalities, different schedules, and it's just very difficult to be on the same page. And I thought at one point we had a very good tight band that we were able to not practice really. We would just show up for gigs and play, and we would write songs, in sound check. but it's a lot easier to write solo, but I'm also, I have limitations because I can't do as many things as I'd like to do. So I will very often bring in someone to do bits on songs that I just can't do, or if I'm stuck on an idea, I'll bring some, fresh ears in on it and get some input. So it's not completely solo, but I try to be as much as I can.
Do you still play live?
I have done a couple live shows in the past few years, and what it ends up being is I'll do some programming, and I'll get a guitar player or a bassist, and it really limits what we're able to do. But it's not my favorite thing anymore. I used to love performing live, but I think I'm very content sitting in a studio and recording and getting it out there to people. With an occasional show, I think I'm more than happy doing a show once in a while.
Yeah, fair play. Because it's interesting. We were talking to Diesel May earlier, and she was saying quite similar. Actually, it's really difficult to, when you've got other people involved, it's difficult to get them all together, even just to rehearse, let alone to book gigs or recording or whatever else. And so she's kind of went out alone. But it was fascinating because I certainly didn't realise, but she was saying that live she ends up doing these acoustic, almost country versions of songs, and then in the studio it's all the instruments and all there, and becomes a kind of full band, and there's this two different sides to it, which is interesting. But the question I said I'd ask you sort of answered it, but I'll ask you the same anyway, is kind of what are the biggest challenges? So there's a lot of freedom of being on your own. What are the biggest challenges to not having that support of the band behind you? So apart from the obvious advantages of not having to organise people around their children and dogs and whatever else, but what are the bits that you miss out on from that experience, do you think? What are the bits that you have to work harder to achieve?
Right. I think I did touch a little bit on it, but the biggest part is I think sometimes if you're just sitting there and you're cranking out one song after another without any input from anyone else, it can you can stagnate yourself, and I think that's the biggest challenge, is to not have every song sound like the last song. And when you have other members working with you on it, I think that kind of sorts itself out, and you've got people to check you on that. But when you're on your own, it's very difficult, I think, just to stay fresh and have different ideas and not have just a stale, boring, sound-alike album.
Yeah, it's almost like peer review. You miss out on the tweaks and the changes that happen, and the people
right.
no, that's too much like that, or that's.
Yeah, I drive my friends crazy. I'm forever burning off CDs and saying, "Hey, listen to this." People they see me coming and they run now because they know I'm going to make them listen to something I'm working on.
not another tweaked version of that bloody song.
Run away!
Yeah. I love it. Oh, very good, Bonesy.
Right on. So we're gonna get to our excuse me. Our last song tonight by Manipulant is off their brand new album as well, Electro. It's called Doctor, I Need Your Expertise. Dig this. Mic's off.
Dr. Terenzi, where are you?
Well, I said to myself, I can't live for an astrophysicist.